Okay, Sharifa is not, oh yeah, there's Sharifa, here's Sharifa. Okay. Okay, it being 6:30 p.m. on 11/20/2024, I'd like to call this meeting of the Conservation Commission, the Brockton Conservation Commission, to order. The meeting is being conducted remotely in accordance with Governor Healy's open meeting provisions, which are updated in March of 2023, extending certain COVID-19 provisions until March 31st, 2025. Real-time public participation and comment can be addressed to the Conservation Commission utilizing the Zoom virtual meeting software for remote access. If you wish to comment during the public input portion of the hearing, please use the raise your hand function to be addressed at the appropriate time. For those of you joining by phone only, please press *9 to raise your hand. A copy of this recording will be on the city's webpage. Please note that this is a professional meeting. Should disrespectful or inappropriate statements be made during the meeting, the host reserves the right to mute the speaker. All votes taken during this meeting will be done by a roll call vote to ensure count accuracy. Commissioners, please state your first and last name for the record in order that we might establish quorum.
Ruby Clay.
Lily Green.
Sharifa Mapp.
Boston Jolly.
I think Peggy's almost on. Peggy, I think you're muted.
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Hi. Your name?
Oh, Peggy Curtis.
And Joyce Forrest. Thank you. The entire commission is here, so we have quorum. Thank you. Okay. Before we actually start, I'd like to mention that there are some continuances in case there are any members of the public here that might be interested in speaking to any of these issues that will be continued to our next meeting. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, December 18th. Those continuances are number 9, 1005 Belmont Street, number 11, 940 Belmont Street, number 12, 24 Intervale Street, and number 14, 30 Intervale Street. Also, agenda item 19 should be changed. The header listed it, I believe, as a utility, and that agenda item changed to an enforcement order for 29 Country Club Lane. So that's it for the agenda, I believe. Okay.
Madam Chair, I have a comment.
Yes, please.
Just so the public is aware, there are several of the current, like the status updates underneath the current filings that are incorrect. As we move through the agenda tonight, I can kind of update the commission and the public as to where we actually stand with those, correctly.
Okay, fine. That's fine. Thank you. Okay. So the first item on the agenda would be minutes of the meeting on October 16th. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes, commissioners? Do you have any changes or comments, edits? If not, then I'll entertain a motion, please, to accept the minutes as read.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the meeting minutes from October as read.
Seconded.
So the motion's been made and seconded for the minutes for October 16th. Roll call vote, please.
Clay, aye.
Curtis, aye.
Green, aye.
Mapp, aye.
Albert, aye.
And Forrest, aye. That motion passes. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is an amended order of conditions for 159 Torrey Street. No, it was not, correct? The abutter notifications were not sent out for this particular hearing, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So we're not able to actually open the meeting.
That is correct. So we'll just add this to the
right.
agenda
Yes.
for the December meeting. Yep.
Right. Okay. So 159 Torrey Street, a solar array installation will be added for its first filing for the December 18th meeting. Okay. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is an order of resource area delineation extension request for 50 Christie's Drive. I believe that's J.K. Holmgren. Is it representative?
Yes, Scott Faria is online with us this evening. I have promoted Scott, so he should be
Thank you.
joining us in a moment.
There we
Hi,
go.
Mr. Faria. How are you tonight?
I'm fine, Madam Chair. How are you? Thank you for your patience,
Thank you.
commission members. Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering. I'm not sure if Kyle made the introduction, but what I've got for this filing was a request for a extension of an ORAD that was issued almost 3 years ago for property at 50 Christie's Drive. It's an existing hotel on Christie's Drive. We had the wetlands delineated, reviewed at the time, and an ORAD issued. We're just hoping for a 1-year extension on that ORAD. I did receive Kyle's memo where he asked if we could refresh the flags. Most of the flags are out there, but over 2.5 years, you certainly lose quite a few, and the ones that aren't lost, it's hard to read the numbers on them. So Kyle asked if we could freshen those up, and we'll certainly do that in time for your next meeting, Madam Chair.
Okay. So the flags have not been done yet.
Correct.
Okay. Kyle, do you have anything to add?
No, I'd like to confirm the delineation before the commission moves forward with any sort of extension on confirming or extending a delineation line, just as best practice. The other thing, Scott, that I mentioned in the agent report was there has been a change in ownership now. So will you be sure to contact the previous owner and the current owner and make sure that you get a statement to us?
I will.
That's-
It's the same owner, just a different realty trust.
Okay.
But I'll get you that information to straighten it out, Kyle.
Yeah, that would be great.
I
Thank
did
you.
see that. I'm sorry. I completely forgot that, but it's the same. There's 3 separate plots that make up that one parcel basically. And 2 parcels are under one realty trust and the other one is under a different one, but it's the same person who's the managing partner of that realty trust. But I'll certainly take care of that paperwork just to clean things up in the file.
Sure, that would be helpful. Thank you. And that's new information to me, so thank you for kind of clarifying that for us.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So then would we suggest that you would request an extension to the next meeting?
I
A
would like to
continuance.
continue to the next meeting.
Okay. Move to continue to the next meeting. Could I entertain a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to continue 50 Christie's Drive to the December 18th meeting.
Motion seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Clay, I.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Map I.
Talbot, aye.
And Boris, aye. Okay, motion passes. We will see you next month on that one.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Ms. Faria. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is a request for determination of applicability for 700 Oak Street. Do you have anyone here for that applicant?
Yes, we do. I have promoted them to be a panelist.
Hello, good evening.
Oh, thank you. I was just gonna
Yes.
have you introduce yourself for us. Thanks.
Yes, good evening, Molly Bendorf with Bowler Engineering. I am representing Walmart at 700 Oak Street. I'm just going to pop my screen up and share the plan. We submitted a request for determination of applicability for this site. So they're doing some parking lot improvements, which simply consist of seal coat and some striping updates as well as signage updates. And there is a portion of the site that falls within buffer zone of a nearby wetland area. Mr. Holden did recommend we have a wetland scientist go out to the site to confirm that there weren't other wetlands on the site. So we did have Lucas Environmental go out, walk the perimeter of the site, and they did confirm that there are no other wetlands in proximity to the site other than what's shown on the plan. So I will zoom into the area within the buffer zone in question here. So again, there's various updates to pavement markings and striping to help with safety across the site, and various signage updates. So that is the gist of what we're doing. And I will leave it open to the commission if they have any questions.
Kyle, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that was a pretty good summary. Just to reiterate, Molly, and please correct me if I misstate anything here, but all the work that's done on the pavement is just sealant and painting, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and then in addition to that, then there are some like stop sign style signs that will be, the posts will be removed of some existing, and then some new, like a stop sign will be installed along the curbing on the grass side of the curbing along the stretch right through there. Yeah.
That's correct. Yep. So there is an existing stop sign here, so that will be removed and replaced with a new stop sign. And then there is another truck route sign here that will be replaced. So that will be removed and replaced a little further back. And then a new stop sign will be added in this location here. The pickup sign is not in the pavement. It's mounted on a base that you can just pick up and move. So yeah, it's the three sign installations and the removal of 2.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Molly, I just have a quick question. This isn't topographical. Is there any way that any paint or anything could leach from, if there were a storm, could leach from that road surface area down into the wetlands?
No, there is curbing along the entire parking lot. And so the site is enclosed with curbing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And I do think it'll be much less confusing. It's kind of a confusing driveway to get out.
It is, yeah. So that's the idea, is to make it, a little more customer friendly. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
I was just curious where the snow removal will go or does go.
I'm not sure where they do it now, but just any typical, snow plow, they probably use some of, the existing parking spaces. They wouldn't push it into anywhere within the buffer zone because it's within, travel areas. So I imagine they push it off into the corners in spaces that aren't used very often.
Mhm.
And then Molly, the disposal of the materials that you guys are working on, it'll be in a designated area and you'll remove it once everything's completed, you guys will have it removed.
That's correct. Yep, it'll be removed from site. And there's very, very minimal excavation. I mean, the post foundations are maybe a foot in diameter. So the excavated material will be minimal, but it will be trucked off site.
This is the close to 25 buffer that I don't mind.
I was
Yeah,
going to
there's
ask,
a little portion of the drive aisle here that does fall within the
Yeah, but
25
it's-
foot,
It's
but
minimal.
no work will be done within the 25.
Sure.
is the wetlands delineated by flags or anything like that?
I believe so, yeah. Yep, this was delineated in 2018, and then this one up here also in 2018 by Lucas Environmental. So it was the same wetland scientist that went back out to the site.
And I've got on that note, Peggy, when Lucas Environmental went out there, they did not refresh or reconfirm this 2018 delineation. I think it's generally accurate. I mean, it's close. I also walked out there, but I might be getting ahead of ourselves here. But one of the conditions that I'm recommending is that we are not approving this wetland delineation as part of this RDA.
Is there anyone at all from the public that would like to comment on this? Do you have anyone, Kyle, that might be in the wings?
I don't see any hand raised.
Commissioners, do you need the map? You okay with the map?
Yes, okay.
No hands raised?
No, ma'am?
Okay. If there are no questions or anything, I think we can move to close. It seems straightforward to me. I don't know. I could entertain a motion to close the hearing if you'd like.
Before we do that,
Is
maybe
this-
may I summarize my
Oh,
recommendation?
I'm sorry. Absolutely. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I did part of it, but
Sorry.
not the entirety.
Yeah,
So
okay. you.
because most of this work is painting and seal work that's within the existing parking lot area, and there's only minor excavation for the installation of a couple signs nearby the wetland, and it's outside the 50. I don't really see that there's much concern for a negative impact to the wetland. So one thing that the commission can issue a negative determination, and I'm recommending that the commission issue a -3 determination, and I'm going to read off what that exactly entails. So a -3 determination states that the work described in the RDA is within buffer zone and is jurisdictional, but that the work described will not alter a protected resource area. So the applicant does not need to file a notice of intent. With subject to the following conditions. So this allows the commission to add kind of special conditions to an RDA, just to make sure that everything is handled correctly. So the additional conditions that I'm recommending are that, and then Molly has already confirmed that this will be the case, but any material excavated as part of the removal of the installation of the signpost shall be properly disposed of off-site. And then the second condition is that I'm not recommending that the commission approve this old 2018 delineation of the wetland.
So if there were new work, then a new delineation would be required.
Yes, any additional work for like a notice of intent would require a full delineation of that site. Yep.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions? No? Okay, then I will now entertain a motion to close.
I make a motion for a -3 determination
Right now, it's
for
just
700.
Peggy, it's just to close right now.
Oh,
Close the
I make a
hearing.
motion to close the hearing.
Okay.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded to close the hearing for 700 Oak Street RDA. Roll call vote, please.
Clay, I.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Map I.
Talbot, aye.
Boris, aye. And motion passes. And now we need the motion to issue the -3 determination.
Okay, I make a motion to determine -3 determination for 700 Oak Street.
Motion seconded.
So the motion's been made and seconded to issue a -3 determination for 700 Oak Street with the two conditions that were stipulated, right, by the agent.
Yes, with the two conditions stated by the commission, the agent.
Okay. So was that seconded?
Yes,
Yes.
it was.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Clay, I.
Curtis, I. Oh, sorry. Clay, Curtis. Okay.
Green eye.
Map I.
Talbot, aye.
And Boris, aye. That motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Obendorf. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for your time.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, let's see. The next item on the agenda is number 5. That's another INRAD, right, for 0 Hammond Street. W Engineering?
Yes, hello. It's Evan
Hi.
Watt, New Engineering.
Hi, Evan.
Hi there, how are you?
Good, thank you. Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, well, we've been busy, so just haven't been having any filings. So if you want, I can share my screen, get started. Are we is everything open?
No, we need to confirm some things, Madam
Yeah.
Chair. before we move
Right,
forward.
the abutter notifications as well as the DEP file number. Is that Kyle? I
Sorry.
can't hear you.
Only
I
one.
was muted. At the time that I wrote the agent report last week, the DEP hadn't issued a file number. They have at this point, and they did issue technical comments requesting that engineering calculations for the isolated vegetated wetlands be submitted. And then abutters have been notified. We did receive receipts of mailing.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Thank you. And now, Mr. Watson?
All right, very good. I will put the plan up on my screen here so everybody sees what we're talking about. So this is the property that was previously permitted as the Hope Garden Cemetery. There was an active order of conditions on this site, and some work started, and then it stopped, and then the order essentially expired. So all the work stopped. And since all the wetland permits had expired, we need to now refile and put everything back in place before we propose any new work. So what we're looking to do here is I had Ken Thompson go out. He delineated the wetlands, hung new flags, and then Ed Jacobs of PMP Consulting, his firm went out and redid the existing conditions detail and survey. And so that's what you see here on this plan. So there's a few areas that are shown. We have an area to the north, an area to the east, and an area here in the southwest. And I'll go through each one of those. So here is East Street on the well, let me just back up to, I don't know if you guys understand where we are, but this down here is where the landfill is. This is a church. It's near what's that, Massasoit Community College, right up there on Thrasher Street. So here we have again East Street. The stone walls are shown, the paths are shown, and then on this north side we have what we're calling the D line. It's actually out a little bit farther than what was on the original delineation. So we've delineated that as the D line, and that's a BVW with a 100-foot buffer zone. Then we have here on the east side of the site, which goes into the transmission line easement, the A series of flags. And again, that is also a BVW because this eventually flows and goes into a culvert offsite under Thrasher Street and connects to another BVW. So that also is jurisdictional, has a 100-foot buffer zone. And then we have these two areas here that are shown with the B and the C lines. And there is a low, it's like a valley. It's on a slope that goes through here. It's, I believe, taking drainage off the landfill site. So maybe there's additional water that's coming through here. But then eventually, when it gets to better soils near Thrasher Street, the wetland vegetation disappears. And being on a slope with no depressions on it, I identified those as isolated wetlands that are non-jurisdictional under the Act. As far as calculations, because there was no actual depressions observed, and it was all on a slope, I added this statement here, basically saying that the flagged B and C lines delineate areas with wetland vegetations but do not border connect with other wetlands, and based on the topography shown, are not isolated basins and cannot hold water of at least a quarter acre foot to a depth of at least 6 inches. Therefore, B and C are not subject to protection. So that's what I wanted to present for the calculations, and I'd be happy to have that reviewed or provide any additional information.
Mr. Watson, it's really hard to see what the topographical lines are, the values of the topographical lines. Can you bring that in a little?
Yep. So you can see the grayscale lines here. We have a slope that comes down in this direction. So here they're annotated. So at 139 at the top, and it comes down, here's 135, 130, and eventually ends up at 128. in
So it's
here.
fairly steep that's going down into the wetlands.
Yeah, there's a very steep slope that comes down, and then there's a fairly steep slope that comes this way. Here's 132.
Mhm.
This is all 132, 130, and then 128 again.
So it's into like a, yeah, valley.
Yep. And then when you see through here, there's this valley that runs through 128.76. And then when we're in this area, it's again still in a pretty decent slope through here. And then we flatten out 123 to 120. And then the road ends up being at 120 as well. So it basically goes down and then comes back up a little bit.
Hmm. I wonder if that's why DEP, because of that, like the slope in both directions, if that's why the DEP was interested in calculations. I don't know anything about it actually.
No, so this section of the act defines isolated land subject to flooding as isolated depression, closed base without an inlet and outlet, but it also specifies that it must hold at least a 1/4 acre-foot of water to an average depth of 6 inches. And one of the criteria states that if you're going to delineate an area and demonstrate that those conditions have been met, that licensed engineer provide calculations or demonstrate that that is the case. So that's straight out of the act why they were asking for that.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add, Mr. Watson?
No, other than I think Kyle, you got the report, the delineation report from Ken. We had the abutter notifications were all squared away, so I think I'm good to go.
Mr. Holden?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Evan, for providing that additional context on those. What was that? The C and B series of wetlands that are to the south of the property. I think that we should formally put that in writing. I mean, I know you've got it on the map, but we should reach back out to Mass DEP and say, hey, you can find this logic here, so they can kind of look at that. On my agent report, I was recommending that we confirm those calculations. I was unaware of the lack of its ability to hold that amount of water. So in any case, my recommendation was that we have a third party go out there and confirm the wetland lines, including confirming that those isolated wetland areas are indeed non-jurisdictional. I still think that that is the prudent course of action for this site, even after Mr. Watson's explanation. So that's all that I've got.
Mr. Watson, any comments?
Nope, that's fine. The flags are pretty easily found because most of this site has been opened up under the previous order. So if Kyle wants to go out and take a look at them himself, and you want me to get back to DEP and have them say it's okay, that's fine too. Or if you want to send it out to a third-party review, that's fine. I'm just not sure if how the procurement of third-party review is going there.
A little slow. Commissioners, do you have any comments or questions at all for Mr. Watson or for Kyle?
No questions for me.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Same, no questions.
No questions at this time.
No questions.
So then I entertain a motion then to either refer to DEP and have Kyle take a visit or refer to third party. It's really up to the commission.
Does Kyle recommend?
Well, I mean, I can confirm the BVW boundaries, but my concern mostly was the status of these non-jurisdictional wetlands, and so I would be more comfortable if we had a third party look at that and just confirm. I've never, I mean, I know Evan said that, there is no need to do the calculations, but, I've never really done a determination of whether something is, an isolated wetland or what. So, I mean, I can do some digging into that as well. We don't necessarily need an answer tonight. So we can, and then the other point is we are so far behind in the procurement process. We could just continue this until next month, allow some communication between us and DEP, and we might have a better understanding of what exactly is required to get this approved by next month. And we're not going to be behind because we're not getting any procurement requests out by December anyway.
Okay,
Thank you.
so I would entertain a motion then, I think, to continue to the next meeting in December. And in the meantime, Kyle will visit and DEP will be contacted and we'll see if we can resolve some of it. And if it's not enough, then the following month, maybe we could refer for peer review. Does that sound fair?
Sounds good to me.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Watson.
Yep, that also sounds good. Yep, that's fine. And I will work with Kyle. I will first send the information to DEP, and then I can put something together about the isolated land subject to flooding out of the act that will make it easy for you, Kyle, to hone right in on where that's located, so you can catch,
Yeah. Perfect.
figure
Thank you.
it out.
Do you have any idea what the distance is between those two areas? The two areas that are kind of near each other?
Yeah, I can measure it. This is a 40 scale plan. Bear with me 1 second. About 71 feet there.
1 feet, thank you. And I hate to be like really no clue, but what's the dit dot thing that looks like a river in the middle?
That's a roadway. So
What's the road? Okay, thank you.
this is
Okay,
the
so it's separated by road. Okay,
yeah. So this is the power line easement that goes through here, and this is their access road that runs through
got
that.
it. Got it. Thank you. You like my technical term, the dit dot thing?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's exactly what it was.
Good, thank you. Okay, so I entertain a motion then from someone, please, to continue to the December 18th meeting.
Make a motion to continue 0 Hammond Street to the December meeting with the stipulations that Kyle will review and Evan will send information to the DEP.
Motion seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Clay, aye.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Nap I.
And Boris, aye. The motion passes. Well, thank you, Mr. Watson.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a great
Have a
night.
lovely Thanksgiving.
That's already here. I can't believe it.
I know, Gary. I know.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving to you folks too. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see, the next item on the agenda is 166 East Ashland Street. That would be
Yeah, I can give kind of an update on that one. So this status is accurate. So we have not received any new revised materials from the applicant since October 25 of 2023. I did not receive a continuation request for this.
oh, hi, Mr. Ferrier.
Good evening again, Madam Chair. If I may, Madam Chair, Board, Commission members, we've talked about this project a couple of times. We received our review, as Kyle said, more than a year ago from Beta. We had to go to the Board of Appeals. We were subsequently denied at the Board of Appeals. We've kind of got an idea of how we're going to proceed, but I believe, and I hope my memory is correct, I believe at one point Kyle looked into it for me, and I think we had a little bit of a balance left over with Beta. I don't even want to say what the amount was, but so we were talking about just withdrawing the application. My concern was, well, you know, we paid $10,000 for the review. We haven't got a whole $10,000 review. I think Kyle did give me a number, and I don't need to have it tonight, certainly, Kyle, because I know I'm catching you cold with this. But I think what I'd like to do at this point, Madam Chair, is just withdraw our application, understanding that we'll probably have something back before you in a month, a year, or 10 years. And in the meantime, I can work with Kyle on getting whatever funds are left from Beta's review back to my client. So I think that would be the best way to go, instead of plugging up your agenda every single month with.
That would be wonderful. So we were basically waiting for an applicant response to Beta, correct? Is that what we're waiting for? I think.
Yeah, we received their response, and then in the meantime, we went to the ZBA and got denied. So
Okay.
basically,
Gotcha.
everything Beta said is kind of irrelevant, because
Gotcha. Yep.
Board of Appeals won't allow us to do what we wanted to do. So we've got to completely scratch it, come up with a new plan. So
Okay.
essentially be a whole new filing anyways, Madam Chair.
I don't think we have to rule on a withdrawal, do we? Oh, I
No, I don't. If the applicant withdraws, I don't think the commission has to vote on anything.
And I'll get you a formal letter tomorrow, Kyle, if that would clean things up.
That would be great, Scott, just so we have something on the record. And then I think I do vaguely remember us discussing that in the email. If I can't find it, I'll have Isaiah look through the books and get the number again for you, okay?
That'll be fine. Thank you. And thank you.
Great.
for the
Thank you.
communication on that one.
It's going to be a very empty agenda next month if we don't see East Ashland on there.
I'm sure you'll get over it.
Okay. Well, as long as you happen to be here, have any information on 45 Industrial Boulevard?
Yes. So again, another long stalled project, but we've talked to you folks about it a couple of times. We did receive our review from Beta back 6 months ago. And then on that one, we got hung up with an access issue with our neighbor and the ability to get an easement. So that really held us up pretty much the entire summer. We finally straightened that out. We've made what we hope are all the changes that Beta requested, and we got Kyle revised plans and calculations, I believe, last week, Madam Chair. So we're certainly further along than we do. We have updated information that was submitted, and we hope that at your December meeting, we'll have a blessing and be able to present final plans to you folks then.
So does that mean we're waiting to hear back from what you responded to Beta? So Beta will respond back, and then we will have an idea.
And like I said, I think it was it's just been a week anyways, maybe
Yeah.
not even a week, but
It was. I sent it over there yesterday, so you sent it to me either yesterday or the day before. So Beta hasn't had much time to look at it,
No.
but
Yeah.
hopefully we'll have a final recommendation from them before the December meeting.
Agreed.
Get you on the fast track.
I know.
I know. Okay. So again, we just need, I guess, a motion to continue.
Please.
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion to continue 45 Industrial Boulevard to the December 18th meeting.
Motion seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded to continue to December 18th. Roll call vote, please.
Clay, I.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Nap I.
Madam Chair, I don't think I can vote
Oh,
on this.
that's right. You weren't here for that. That's right. That's right. You have to abstain. I'm sorry. I should have realized that. Thank you. And Boris, I thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
folks.
so that motion passes.
See you shortly again. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. The next item on the agenda, let's see, item number 8 would be 82 Ames Street.
Yeah, we've got a couple of people here in the attendees list associated with this project.
Brigo, I see, but I don't see him, but I see his name.
Just quickly, the status on the agenda for this project is incorrect as posted. The current actual status is Beta issued a revised peer review on October 18th, so we are waiting for the applicant to issue comments in the response letter to that peer review.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rago, are you going to be representing the applicant?
Yes, please. For the record, my name is Bob Rigo. I'm with Riverhawk Environmental. We're the civil engineer for the project. We haven't done any initial presentation to the board. Everything got submitted to Beta for review. We went through one set of comments and received a second. So I'm not sure how to proceed with tonight's meeting. To show you our plan, we do have a couple questions, maybe for the commission. Beta's looking for a few things that seem a little, like maybe we could not do them or have a little, somewhat of a limited response to those comments, and I want to get the commission's opinion.
Mhm.
So maybe if I could just give a brief overview of the project by sharing my screen and then maybe address those concerns that I have with that Beta review.
Please do.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Tukamian.
Hey, well, how do I share? Yeah, okay, here we go. So I'll just share the photos initially, the plans, excuse me, initially. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, I can. I can.
Okay, that's interesting. I think I have to share a different screen, so I apologize. Okay. Yes, so this is I'll go quickly through the existing conditions. This site has been through the process of filing ANRAD, and then we've received ORAD. So it's basically an existing undeveloped site or semi-developed site on the northerly side of Ames Street and west of Spark Street. There's an existing gravel parking area, which was an unpermitted gravel parking area that was done, and there was enforcement orders filed for that work, and that's kind of why we're here now with the proposed work. There's an existing river that runs through. There's a culverted, it's stone line culvert on both sides, and this is the Searles Brook, which runs through the center of the site. And then there's an existing stormwater basin that was from historical development on the property from way back, which is located on the western portion of the property. So there's a 25-foot riverfront area associated with the Searles Brook, and then there's 100-foot to the bank, and then there's also portion of the site, which is a light green line, which might be very hard to see on your thing. This whole area is land subject to flooding. So everything below elevation 95, which is shown as a light green line on this plan, which includes all of this section, and then a small section along Spark Street, and the entire basin are all within that land subject to flooding. So what we're proposing to do is redevelop the site, first by modifying the existing gravel parking lot, which was unpermitted, making that a porous pavement parking lot. And then putting a building on the site on the northerly portion of the site, on the northerly section that's north of the river. A building with a paved parking lot in front, and again, porous pavement drives going down the side. And we propose to basically, in the area that's the 25-foot, we'd remove what is invasive vegetation and replace that with a restored 25-foot riverfront area. So that's the kind of the overall concept of the project. What we're proposing for drainage or stormwater controls is the paved parking lot would be directed to 2 catch basins. Those catch basins would go through a stormwater water quality treatment unit and then be discharged to the existing basin over here where it would be infiltrated. All the stormwater from the roof, which would be clean stormwater, which would go direct into a subsurface infiltration basin on here. through all of this development, we've tried to balance the cuts and fills, so we weren't providing any additional fill in the land subject to flooding. And we were able to basically, we're proposing fill in the amount of what is it? 61 cubic yards, but we'd be cutting out through this small depression and then some other grading on the site. We basically pull out 159 cubic yards of additional material. So we'd be pulling out more than we'd be filling. And we did submit calculations to document that of the cut and fill. Beta did have a few follow-up questions, which I think we can easily answer going forward in our next comment letter back to them or response to comment letter back to them. So what I wanted to really tonight was to go over, there's a few things that Beta requested that I just wanted to get the commission's opinion on. The first thing is the site is almost entirely covered by invasive species. This whole area is vegetated. And then this area, which was parking lot, was formerly vegetated. Almost all of that area is invasive species. So they asked that we submit an invasive species management plan, which we did do. And then with a follow-up comment, they asked that then a few things, one of which was identify the location of all of the invasive species and show those on a plan. And I was just thought that in order to do that, we'd have to go out and identify them, and then we'd have to locate them by survey. So it'd be fairly costly, and I don't know the point, considering the whole site is basically covered by invasive species of one, different species. There's probably 4 different species that are out there, but one of those 4 are somewhere covering the site. So that was one question. The next question was, because we are proposing fill placement in the land subject to flooding, and the Beta citing the Wetlands Protection Act, and that we're doing more than 5,000 square feet. So then we have to do a wildlife habitat evaluation. And this site, there's several reasons why I think maybe that can be just addressed by a statement without, again, going to the expense of a full wildlife habitat evaluation. The site basically is, again, but the site has been developed. It's in an area that's a highly urbanized area. The abutting properties are all industrial, commercial in nature. The site now just acts as a dumping ground, and I just want to, if I can, share pictures of that. The owner of the site is tasked with cleaning up. I'm going to unshare this and then share the pictures. But I can't. Sorry for that. So I'll just share quickly the pictures, and then I'll wrap up. So we're not here forever. But this is just a can everybody see that?
Yes.
It's pretty invasive.
Yeah, so that's just about 6 months worth of accumulation. And that's just people driving by and throwing away stuff on his site. So this is what he has to deal with yearly. It's like spring and fall cleanups of other people's stuff that's hard to dispose of. I myself have observed hypodermic needles on the site. There's broken glass, so cleaning it up becomes a danger too. So again, for those reasons, we are hoping to avoid the necessity for a detailed wildlife habitat evaluation, because I just don't think it's relevant in the case of this site. And I'm gonna switch back to the plans again, and then I'll finish up quickly.
Mr. Rieger, what are the four, you said there were four invasives? In that particular photo, I wasn't sure that I saw.
Oh, well, I'm not sure, you know, autumn olive, the standard ones, and I'd have to look back. I do have them written down in the summary for the site, but I don't know them off the top of my head. That's certainly not one of my expertise, but they have been identified all as by the botanist as basically all invasive. And I, you know, I could look for that and answer that question later.
I mean, no, that's okay.
And I'll just go back to the last question and comment that was posed by Beta that I was just looking for a little clarity on is this existing basin on the northerly part of the site. It receives flow the abutting property, part of the roof, and then there's a parking lot over here to the north that's associated with a offsite property that's used for used car sales, and that does discharge to the basin. There's no easement or anything, or no right for them to discharge, but they do and have for a long time discharged into this basin. So, you know, would continue to let them discharge to the basin, but Beta was looking for treatment of that water prior to discharge. So I felt it was existing condition, although the whole site doesn't meet the requirements for redevelopment. It was my opinion that certainly we should be required to treat the existing stormwater that goes into that basin. So that was the overall review and my questions with the Beta review that I just wanted to present to the commission, and I guess I'll stop talking and turn it back over to you.
I'll defer to Kyle.
I'm sorry.
I've got a couple comments. So thank you, Bob, for giving us kind of an update here. In general, you know, this is just my opinion, but the commission, you know, referred this out for a peer review because we don't have the expertise to kind of look through and kind of, you know, make sure that the site meets all of the standards. Now, that said, I am, you know, I understand your point of view as well, and I think maybe the route to move forward here is to maybe organize a call between, you know, you, myself, and Beta to sit down and talk about these concerns before we have to go through an entire cycle of you know, your response comments, their next peer review letter. So we've done this for other projects recently. I don't think they would be opposed to that. If this would be fine with you, we can organize a call. We can talk about all three of these points and get some feedback from Beta there, and then we can move forward with you finalizing your review comments for submittal. Does that sound reasonable?
That sounds fantastic. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, great. So I'll reach out to you later this week and try to schedule time for a call between us and Beta.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Good. That was an easy fix. Thank you, Kyle. Commissioners, any questions?
I have a question. On the corner of Spark Street and Ames Street, I drive by there frequently. And if I'm not mistaken, that property is now fenced in. Is that correct, Bob? Is that in response to the people that
That's
were
correct. A
dumped?
portion was fenced in. Yes. Yep. And I'm
Mhm.
sorry, what?
So the dumping picture that you showed us, was that recent or was that before the fence was put up?
Oh, I think I missed part of maybe my internet bagged out, but yeah, that's just a very small portion. It's probably a 4,000 square feet of the 57,000 square foot site is fenced off. So that portion doesn't get trash thrown in it because of the fence, but the rest of the site does. So and that's all recent, though, that is just cleaned up trash from within the last couple of months.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments, suggestions?
No comments. I guess we're continuing this one, right, Joyce?
I would think, is it anyone from the public have anything that anyone have? Does it seem like anyone's present?
I don't see any hands raised for the attendees.
Okay. Then if not, I would suggest that we could move to continue to the next meeting. And Kyle and Mr. Rego and Beta would be able to confab together.
Yeah.
Make a motion to move 82 Ames Street to the December 18th meeting.
Motion seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Clay, I.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Nap I.
And Voris, aye. And thank you, Justin.
Thank you very much.
And I'll,
Yes.
I'll reach out to you by the end of the week and we'll set something up. Okay.
Great, thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Mr. Rego. It'll be nice to get this going for you, huh?
Yes, very
Thank you.
nice, thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. Let's see, the next item on the agenda. I don't know if that's right. Is it 10:05 Belmont? Did that get
That is
continued?
correct, Madam Chair.
Oh, it is 10:05 Belmont. Okay. Joyce Consulting Group?
They requested a continuance
Oh, they did.
last minute.
Okay,
I
that's
do want to make a correction on the status. The status posted on the agenda for this is incorrect. They supplied revised materials, and I gave Beta the notice to proceed with their review yesterday.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I saw they did have a response, what, on the 18th or something, so, yeah.
Mhm, Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. The next item on the agenda, number 10, notice of intent for 1380 Main Street, the Campello Towers modernization.
Yes, Madam Chair, may I move forward with this? Beta is not on the call this evening,
Okay,
but
Oh.
they did.
Oh,
Oh, hi,
oh,
Steve.
here we, how you doing? Sorry, I'll wave over here. Something up with my
I was wondering if the applicant was present.
yeah, so yeah, there's something up with my webcam on my laptop, so I can peek to you over here. I think Michelle from BWA might be out in the audience, and possibly Chris Berry from Brockton Housing Authority. I'm not sure. They may or may not.
Let me look here. Yep. Michelle is here, so I'll promote her
Yeah.
up. And what was the other name? I'm sorry, Steve.
Chris Berry. He possibly might be.
I don't see Chris.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay,
All right,
Mr. Sawyer, did you
just-
want to present?
Very quickly, so Beta is not in attendance at the meeting tonight, but they did issue a peer review report. Basically, I've read through this, but basically they are recommending that the commission does have all the information required to issue an order of conditions for this notice of intent. I'm glad Steve's here, so he might be able to answer any questions that the commission has more specifically about the project. And I've kind of read through the report, so if the commission has any questions about Beta's actual report, I'd be happy to answer those. Thank you.
Mr. Sawyer, would you mind updating us with just a quick overview of the project?
Yeah, sure. I can share. Just it's been
Thank
a
you.
while.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure everyone's aware of the Campello Towers, Tower A and Tower B. The proposal is to replace these two towers with three buildings. To the south, here's the Brockton Area Transit Authority property, self-help area or property here, which Brockton Housing Authority will be taking over. Plain Street in the back. We have French Brook running between these two properties and Salisbury Plain River to the east of the property. The proposal is to place two buildings up fronting up on Main Street here, and then with the third building sort of push forward as far away from this resource area, it's going to end up in this location. So what I'll do is I'll quickly stop share and then reshare to get to the site plan.
Thank you.
Unless you have any questions before I stop share, reshare, Do you have any questions regarding this aerial image?
No, it's good. I don't.
Okay, very good. Okay. So I can stop share. This is always share. Oh, wait. Hold on a sec. I got to jump to my other one. Plans. Okay, share. All right. So yeah, actually, yeah. So here is the location of the three buildings that are to be added. Building one, it's going to be a phased project. They'll first build this building, building one first, then jump down to building two, and then finally building three, which is closest to the Salisbury Plain River. So as you can see, we are in bordering land subject to flooding, which the limit follows this heavy dash line here, and then also around, you can see Tower B, which is closer to the river at this location. So you can see we're pulling all development as far away as we can from the resource area. There is parking down in this location that will be replaced with vegetation. We are providing a pedestrian connection from Main Street that's going to wind through with some sitting and amenities down here along the river and then through the plain. I believe that was part of the master plan. There was a plan developed about about the connection between those two areas, which this proposal will be addressing. As part of the BLSF, we won't be filling. We will not be no net fill. We do have to reconfigure the grading somewhat to move building 3 up out of the floodplain. Currently, Tower B is right at basically just at the flood elevation of the Salisbury Plain River. Tower B will be lifted 2 feet above, but as such, there is some reconfiguration. We're cutting and filling. I think we're filling 16,000 cubic feet and cutting 27. So there is a net benefit of providing additional storage in the Salisbury Plain River. Also with this proposal, we're providing extensive stormwater mitigation. There's a tremendous amount of underground infiltration that we're providing. The city engineer had asked for us to try and meet to the greatest extent practical redevelopment practices, which is either you reduce the existing impervious area by 40% or reduce the stormwater flow off-site, which for the 2-year event, I believe it's a 60% reduction, 10-year event, it's a 40% reduction, and for the 100-year event, it's about a 26% reduction. So we are achieving substantial improvements of the stormwater mitigation on site. Additionally, we're providing water quality treatment, 1-inch water quality treatment over all impervious surfaces. Basically, now there is zero mitigation, whether it be water quality or peak grade attenuation or volume attenuation. So this project is designed to meet full compliance of the DEP stormwater regulations and also to the greatest extent practical, the Brockton stormwater regulations. So we are providing 1-inch water. Typically, DEP would require 1-inch water quality volume. 1/2 inch, and we're providing 1-inch water quality volume. So it's a substantial improvement to the existing conditions there. We're very excited about this project and can't wait to get it going. And so that's basically the 2-minute overview. I think we went through it I think it was probably back in July. And it took some time to go through the peer review process, but we have, and we're looking forward to moving forward.
Mhm. So that dotted line is the outline of the old building that will be raised, is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So that's the outline of the old Tower B is here, and it's hard to see because it's screened back, but the Tower A is where is it? It is forward of that. It's hard to see in this look. Let's see. It's basically in this area here. So you have Tower B and then Tower A is here.
Mhm.
And so it's a little tricky. So we'll construct we'll construct building one while both towers are in place. And actually all that the first phase is completely out of the the BVW, the jurisdictional area, because this is all going to remain unchanged down in this area. And then with phase two, it's unclear at this time. We may be constructing building two with both towers. There is the ability to do that. But we're hopeful that with the attrition that will pull down building tower A to construct tower or building two. And then we have the ability, as you can see, building three is outside of the footprint of tower B. We may have to construct building three with tower B in place, but hopefully we're hoping that also, that's down the road. That's a couple of years, a few years down the road by the time we get to building three. But we're hopeful that building can come down while we construct tower or building three. So it's going to be a long process, but a very it's a needed improvement out there for the improvements of the towers.
And just to move it away from that floodplain, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
This is very busy.
There's a lot going on here. It's a busy plan. Yes. Might be, I can scroll down and go to the landscape plan, which might be, when you get the grading and stormwater off, it might be a little easier to see. So you can see here with the landscape plan, you see the parking here, the three buildings, the landscaping area wrapping around the development area. You can see the perimeter of the closest. So currently Tower B is very close. Basically it's 25 feet away from the bank of the French Brook, the intermittent stream French Brook.
Mm-hmm. Now, the 25-foot buffer zone, I know Beta mentioned something about the 25-foot no touch being having an effect. Was it the walkway?
Yes. Yeah.
I see 50. Where's
Yeah, so here's your 25. If you look closely, yeah, so you can see the 25. Let me zoom in. So you can see the 25-foot here runs along here. So currently there's actually this plan doesn't show it. I can go to the existing conditions. Currently there's parking. There is parking within the 25-foot. The overall disturbance from the existing conditions, we're reducing the impermeable and impact within the 25-foot. Additionally, there's the existing tree line, which we are not impacting here. The area within this 25, you see this stipple here, this stipple here with the grass area. We're going to be reestablishing more natural vegetation within the 25-foot versus what exists today as it's mowed lawn. And any activity within the 25-foot here is just the pedestrian way here. And then we did originally, this area here was closer, was further within the 25. We did pull this out. So this is a sitting area for a quiet sitting area along the river's edge for enjoyment and passive recreation. So this pedestrian path winds its way through. So here's your 25-foot here. And as we work our way northward, we've pulled this walkway completely out. Originally, I believe it warped in, or it meandered in a bit, and we pulled it out. So we did pull this, we pulled the walkway to the great extent we could out of that 25-foot. And I believe it's a sizable reduction of impervious surface within the 25-foot where we're pulling parking. We are pulling parking out of that area.
It should be lovely.
Oh, it's going to be beautiful. Yeah.
Kyle, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just a quick question for Steve. So Steve, yesterday the city engineer asked me to send over the beta reports so he could have a chance to look over those. Have you heard from Chike since yesterday about? You mentioned that he was reviewing these plans for the stormwater. Has he talked to you recently about this?
Yeah, so we had a technical review meeting with them. It was a while back, a couple months ago. And that's when he brought up about the originally I probably tripled the amount of stormwater mitigation as far as the chambers. So really, everything here needs to be underneath the parking lot. And so originally I was meeting just the DEP requirements of no increase. So we were probably providing like a 10 to 20% reduction across the board. And that's when he had asked about trying to meet the 40% requirement. Subsequent to that meeting, I did have a phone conversation with him, and I said to meet the 40% requirement for a 100-year storm event, it's a little bit onerous, and it would be, we'd have to double the amount of, right now I think we have over 70 large chambers subsurface. I think we went from 20 to 70 at this point. So those have all been resubmitted to the city, and I believe we have a meeting next Monday, and a follow-up technical review meeting with Chike and all the city and planning next Monday on that.
Okay.
And I think
So
I think they wanted, before we could go to planning, they wanted us to close out conservation
Okay,
before
I guess
that
that was
even.
my kind of follow-up
Yeah.
question was, are you comfortable, if the commission chooses to issue the order of conditions tonight, then going through tech review? Because there is the potential that, additional things might come up at that point. And if it's substantial enough, then you may have to come back and get an amended order, if the plan changes after it's approved tonight.
Yeah, I feel comfortable that, we've brought this along. We've had quite a bit of input, with the plan here. And, I will say that, the requirements of the stormwater ordinance is quite extraordinary, trying to reduce, making 40% reductions to stormwater. That's about as high a bar as I've seen for any redevelopment. I've done projects all over, and Cambridge and Boston and such. And so I think he understood the complication of it. And I think where we meet, we're 60 at 10, 40 at, 60 at the 2-year, 40 at the 10-year, and we're at 29 or 29% at the 100-year. That's extraordinary as far as in my professional opinion. I think Chike will agree, that we've met the standard, or met it to the greatest extent practical for that reduction. And we've also provided full stormwater quality, the 1-inch water quality volume along with that, which requires quite a bit, it's quite a bit of treatment on this site where there is none today. I don't, particularly within the buffer area, I don't see, they may want some improvements up on Main Street. But that's well out of the 100-foot buffer or the flood area. They're talking, pedestrian or type pedestrian calming up there. On property, I don't see anything that would be a potential change.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments or questions or suggestions or?
No, so I've read through the beta report. I don't, I think it's pretty straightforward. They do include some recommendations to issue or to include in an order of conditions should the commission vote to issue an order of conditions for this project. Would you like me to read through those, or?
The special conditions, you mean?
Yeah, the recommended special conditions.
It's up to the commission. I think it's clear in the report, but it's up to them.
It's clear for me. I read all 9.
I have a few questions
Okay.
about the walkway. My concern is the snow removal. Where will it go for the parking lots and the walkway? How will the walkways be treated for ice and snow? Will it be sand? Will it be ice melt? And how will the trash or litter be handled along the walkways? Will there be trash cans? Will there be, daily, weekly pickup or things like that? And then lastly, will signs be posted near the wetlands saying that there's no dumping and that it is a wetland, protected wetland area?
Yeah. I think one of the conditions was there was a condition from Beta to provide markers along that. I'll work backwards on that. I think Kyle, do you have any input on that as far as the markers?
Yeah, no, I was on that call when we were discussing this a month or two ago. We didn't decide specifically on what markers would be installed there, but I remember that there's an area that's going to be basically a native seed mix, and I'm not sure if this is exactly what you're talking about, Steve, but we did discuss with Beta about putting signs up around that area. It's like no mowing or things along those lines. In addition to the standard thing that the commission does is the 25-foot kind of markers. So we can, that's obviously something that we can add into the order.
Yep.
So it's really up to the
Yeah.
discretion of the commission.
I don't see that as a special condition, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that, yeah, I remember discussing it. I guess I didn't catch that in the, we can add, that's something that we don't oppose, that we could, if we could add those markers, along the 25-foot. And there's a small area where the seating area, does intrude a little bit, but you could just put it at the edge of the seating area. As far as protected area, no, and we could work that language out with Kyle. Typically, it's resource area protected area or something of that nature. So that we could add that. There will be some trash, there will be some trash receptacles along, particularly down around the seating area. Those will be maintained by the Brockton Housing Authority. The site currently is quite well maintained by the authority. It is well kept. So they would be responsible for emptying those receptacles on a regular basis. As far as the walkways, most likely, if I'm not sure, I guess it would be up to the authority whether they'd clean, as far as the connecting walkway that runs from Main to Plain, it's more of a recreational use. The question is, would they maintain that in the winter, or would it just be for fair weather? That would be something that the authority would decide whether they'd try and keep it clear. Small events, I imagine they could, but if there's some sort of extraordinary storm event, they may wait for it to melt, and it just wouldn't be used at that time. If they didn't have if they didn't have the capacity to clear it. As far as the clearing there, would either be on the sidewalk, most likely to be the snow blower, or a small rubber track, or a small tractor snow blower type with rubber wheels down there, because they wouldn't want to damage the walkway. And as far as treatment, I don't believe they probably wouldn't sand or salt it. At this point, I think it would be, most likely that area would just be for fair weather use, as it is, as you get to the spring, they may come down and clear it. The sun would melt it off, but it's trying to maintain that throughout if you are having a difficult winter season, they probably would not choose to maintain it. Snow storage without the site is very tight. There are some areas throughout the site where they, most likely for small events, it's fine. There's islands and such where the snow can be plowed from the roadway. But any major storm events, over a couple feet of snow, it would probably need to be trucked off site, like many urban locations. But yeah, as far as snow removal, and I'm sorry, I think there was a fourth one in there. Question on that.
Those are very good explanations, but they're all suppositions. There's nothing definitive. Is there any way that we can communicate that to either the housing authority or so that we have definitive answers to those questions?
So I guess one thing that we could say is that as far as any, so everything within the parking area is all controlled and treated. So as far as you have water quality units that you meet the water quality requirements. So we could add what I would recommend is adding condition that if any perimeter uncontrolled perimeter walkway adjacent to the wetland area or adjacent to the resource area is to be maintained, no chemical treatment shall be applied. Just provide a condition. That way you have some teeth of any, in the event that they do decide to maintain that.
Mhm.
Or an environmentally acceptable method of ice removal.
Kyle, is that a standard condition when it's close to a wetland?
We put it in sometimes. We don't have that in all the times. I think I agree with Steve. I was going to recommend something along those lines. We can add an additional special condition, basically saying what Steve said. That if they decide to maintain that area, that walkway that's within the buffer zone, that like no sand or salt should be used, or something along those lines.
Now, if salt is used on the parking lots themselves, then that would collect in the catch basins, no?
Yeah, well, yeah, so what happens, anything in the parking lot, that's the intent for the water quality is that's all collected, sands and salts, whatever, there's a deep sump catch basin is your first treatment device. And then after that, the stormwater is passed through a water quality treatment unit, which those actually, you know, we're using it just as a pre-treatment device. So that provides the second method, the second level of treatment. And then finally, the basins there's an extensive amount of underground chambers. So the water is directed to a chamber. And to give you an idea, there's a 1 inch, if those chambers are going to hold 1 inch of rainfall before it even flows off the site. So that's what quote is the water quality volume. So then the water goes in pools and infiltrates in the ground versus running off out into the river. So we're achieving, I believe, well over 80% TSS removal. I think we're up around 90% TSS removal. So that, a lot of times redevelopment projects, they kind of give you a pass on that. And right now there's zero treatment on this site. And now we're in full compliance with the water quality treatment throughout the entire project area.
Great.
And really that's where the parking lot is where the only potential for real pollutant loading is. The pedestrian ways typically aren't susceptible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Commissioners, any questions, comments?
No questions from me.
I have a quick question. I know it's not in the jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act, but it seems like the expense and it will be lovely, absolutely lovely, but the number of apartments will remain the same. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Currently?
Yep.
Do you know why? I mean, I think that the forward projection of age is really, increasing in the aging population. Any idea why they wouldn't put another floor in each building or something?
I think part of it's parking demand. I think actually maybe Michelle's on, she's with the architect. Michelle maybe can answer that question. That's a little bit a higher level. I'm going to drill down in the details of the site. Michelle, are you on?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so we are actually height limited. The decision was to stay under the 70-foot height limit required to not be considered a high rise under the building code, to avoid the expense that incurs on the building. So we are pretty much maxed out what we can build on the site, for budgetary reasons. We did increase the number of apartments by 2, but yeah, essentially we're staying at the same quantity.
I noticed that 2 of the buildings were 7 stories, but 1 was only 6 stories. Is there a reason for that?
I think that's related to the pro forma in terms of the development feasibility, like the number of apartments that it's feasible to develop on site. It's a financial calculation.
Thank you.
Okay. Looking forward to the open house.
Me too.
Thank you. Very excited.
So, commissioners, are we ready to close? Kyle, do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm comfortable with issuing the order of conditions.
I entertain a motion then to close the hearing for, what was the address again?
1380 Main Street.
For
Mhm.
1380 Main Street, Campbell High Rise.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing for 1380 Main Street But do we have special conditions that we're
We
going
will,
to be
we will
listing?
once we close the hearing, yeah.
Okay, I close the hearing then. Motion to close.
Motion seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded to close the hearing on Campello High Rise. Roll call vote, please.
Clay, I.
Curtis, I.
Green eye. Snap eye.
And Vora's aye. Thank you. Now we entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions with special conditions as listed in the beta report and any others that should be attached. Kyle?
Yeah, there were two that we've spoken about tonight. The one is the installation of permanent markers and signage along the 25-foot buffer zone and or the areas that have like the native seating. And then the second condition would be to if the property owner decides to maintain that walkway year round, that no salt or sand or any kind of chemical treatment should be used on that sidewalk area within the buffer zone. And then all of the special conditions that Beta included in their report.
Commissioners, what do you feel about that?
Yes, I agree with that. I feel
Agreed.
comfortable with that.
Okay. Yeah,
So I make a motion to issue an order of conditions with the conditions by Beta and the conditions that Kyle mentioned this evening.
Motion seconded.
motion has been made and seconded to issue order of conditions. Roll call vote, please.
Clay, I.
Curtis, I.
Green eye. Snap eye.
And Vora's side looks like 1380 Main Street is on the map. Good.
Right.
Thank you for your
Thank-
patience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you. Okay. The next one, 940 Belmont was continued to next month, as well as Intervale. The next one is 549 Copeland Street.
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything to really discuss here. We did not get a continuance request. I'm not sure if Scott's still on the call, but we can also just continue this to the next month. So this is on hold until we get the procurement process worked out for these referrals. So this is just kind of one in a long list of projects that need to be referred out, that we voted to be referred out, that we just need to wait until that contract's executed.
Mr. Ferry, do you have anything?
Nope, we would like to request a continuance.
Okay. Motion to continue to the next meeting, please.
I make a motion to continue 549 Copeland Street to the December 18th meeting.
Motion seconded.
Roll call vote, please.
Clay, I.
Curtis, I.
Green eye. Snap eye.
And Vorsai. Okay. Thank you. The next one is 30 Intervale Residential Building. It's also been continued to December 18th. Let's see. The next one is 0 Lawton Avenue. That's Mr. Ferry, I believe.
Yes, ma'am. 0 Lawton Ave, a site that we've been before you folks for a couple of different issues, an enforcement order and this proposed notice of intent. I believe we took care of the enforcement order at the last meeting. So I think at this point, that's another one that's waiting to be sent out, waiting for the process to be finalized. So I think I need a continuance on that one. I did
You know
say,
what the-
correct. Yeah.
You know if
after
the DEP file number was actually issued on that one? I don't know why I have a question about that here.
we just sent everything out to DEP
Okay,
earlier in the week, just once we straightened out the
Okay,
enforcement
good.
issue with you folks and had Brad Holmes back out there to redelineate. So it was just sent out to DEP, so we don't have one yet.
Okay.
And I do have one comment. This is another one that the status is incorrect on the agenda. It says that the enforcement order needs to be resolved. As Scott mentioned, we kind of did resolve that last month. So this just we're just waiting for that peer review process on this project as well.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, thank you. So we need a motion to continue, please.
Motion to continue 0 Lawton Ave to the December 18th meeting.
Motion seconded.
Roll call vote, please.
Clay, I.
Curtis, I.
Green eye. Snap eye.
And Voris, aye. That motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And last but not least, 136 Perkins Avenue.
Yes. Madam Chair, Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering. We filed a notice of intent for this property, 136 Perkins Ave. The property is in the flood zone.
Mm.
And according to Brockton zoning ordinance, a property that's in the flood zone needs a variance from the Board of Appeals, in addition to conservation approval. So we filed with you folks trying to get the notice of intent straightened out first. There was some question as to whether or not we should go to the Board of Appeals first, but just from past experience, recent past experience, I really need to get this through the Conservation Commission first before I go to the Board of Appeals. The Board of Appeals isn't comfortable making it a decision on the flood zone without the Conservation Commission, the wetland and flood zone experts in the city making a determination first. So we really feel like and also that there was a thought that perhaps we could at least file with ZBA and then come and get the process going with you folks. Unfortunately, the Board of Appeals does not allow us to continue hearings. They're
Oh, so it's a one and done.
committee. Yeah, they're just about the
Oh.
only voting committee in the entire state that does not allow it. But
Oh,
like you guys that have 19 items on your agenda and most of them are continued from past hearings, we cannot. We've got to file it today. We go before them at the December meeting and they vote yes or no that night. So I'm really stuck between, a process of what you'd like to see and what really I need. There's no way I can get, there's no way I believe I can get a ZBA approval without you folks jumping first. So I really need the commission to go first in this instant, Madam Chair. So that being the case, I think we've discussed previously that we'd like to have it sent out for peer review as well, being that it's in the flood zone and there's compensatory storage calculations involved with the development.
Kyle, I see your hand up.
Yes, just to kind of give a little bit more detail about what Scott said. And Scott, you might be able to chime in here, please. So if the ZBA were to consider a project, and as Scott mentioned, they don't allow continuances, so they make a decision on that project when after the application on the night that they received that, there is some sort of like if they decide not to grant the variance, Scott, there's a time frame that the applicant cannot apply again. Well, it's like a 2 or 3 year period. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's 2 years, so it's not. I can't just roll the dice and hope they say yes. They say no, I try again. Once they deny it, I can't go back for 2 years. So it's
Right. And so that's an added complication. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. Now, all of that said, the Wetlands Protection Act has very explicitly states that, for a notice of intent filing, that all locally, obtainable permits are at least applied for. And I know that's something that we had talked about, getting the application into ZBA. That's neither here nor there for this one. We did open the hearing for this project before we kind of caught that that hadn't been actually the application put in. Now, that said, Scott, I have been talking with the chair of the ZBA, trying to work this out. This is a known issue, and so and I'm not sure, this may not have kind of may not have gotten out there yet. I'm not sure that what the ZBA has decided to do it as a body themselves, but the chair asked me to write a letter to the ZBA kind of explaining the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission, how ZBA and Conservation should be working together. So I did send that out just a couple of weeks ago. Maybe the best way to move forward, considering that this project is something that does need to go out for peer review, that peer review process, unfortunately, is not ironed out yet. So we're not really, by not voting to issue this, to refer this out to peer review now, we're not hurting ourselves. We're not any farther behind than we would be otherwise. Maybe over the next month, you can reach out to Ken, the chair of the ZBA, and see if he's had a chance to talk about how ConCom and ZBA are going to be hopefully functioning better moving forward. And maybe maybe the situation has kind of resolved itself based upon that guidance that they have received. I've not spoken to any of the other members, and I honestly have not talked to Ken after I issued that letter. But Ken has seen the letter. He kind of helped me draft it. So
Yeah.
at least he's on board with that and the recommendations in that letter. So maybe we reach out to Ken and see kind of what his feel for ZBA is at this point.
That would be fine, and I think hopefully we can report back at the December meeting and be able to push things along one way or the other.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
So from this point forward, though, do you think it would be better just to go with a continuance or a continuance with a referral in case the peer review process happens to result?
Well, I think just a continuance, because, at this point, we really should have, if we go by the letter of the law, we should have at least had the application for ZBA in before the notice of intent filing came through.
Okay, so wait till the 18th and then see how that's going with the ZBA, and then at that point refer.
I think that would
Yes.
be fine.
Plan. Okay. So I entertain a motion then, I guess, to continue.
I make a motion to continue 136 Perkins Avenue to the December 18th meeting.
Motion seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Clay, aye.
Curtis, I.
Green eye. Nap eye.
And Voris, aye.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, folks. Thanks for your time. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
and
thank
see
you.
Same to you.
All right, thanks, Scott.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so now we have some reports from Kyle. We have a restoration report for 411 Warren Avenue.
Yes. So last month we looked at the first kind of draft of this restoration plan for 411 Warren Avenue. This is the I got my camera off. This is the site that the homeowner or the property owner kind of built up a side yard and put a retaining wall in, and it was within the riverfront area. And so we issued an enforcement order requiring that they remove that wall and remove all the fill that they had added within that area. So they have supplied one round of restoration plans. We brought this to the commission last month and reviewed it, talked about what changes the commission would like to see, and they made those changes and have supplied us with a new restoration plan. I can go ahead and share my screen here. And so I think this addresses all of the concerns that we had or that we raised last month. And I'm hoping that the commission can approve this plan. The plan is set. This is one of the things we added last month was kind of a time frame to be included. So the removal and the restoration process shall begin in the spring. It's getting kind of too late in the year to do any kind of site stabilization. So we're aiming for spring of 2025. And then also included a deadline for them to have the work completed by. And if they don't meet this deadline, then we can refer this to the law department. Some other things that were added to the text of the plan here on the screen was some text about monitoring and the commission or the agent, myself, going out and inspecting the site, making sure the erosion controls are installed before they do the work, confirming that the grade that they set is appropriate before they seed the area and things like that. So that's kind of where we are here. This isn't going to be the end of the world. If you guys want to take another month and look at this, we can push this off until the December meeting. But I think at this point, unless there are any issues that you want to be addressed, I think this may be the final plan. Are there any questions from the commission about this plan?
Yes. How will the bank be restored without any materials? How will it be stabilized?
So the bank, let me just describe kind of what this area is. The Salisbury Brook is channelized in this area to the north of the home here. So let me pull this up. So the home is here. The brook is channelized through here. It's probably a 15-foot concrete channel that the brook is conveyed through. The lawn area that they actually did the work within is set back from that concrete kind of bank that conveys the brook by 4 or 5 feet, and then they have their kind of wall that they've constructed. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be removing that wall and removing all that backfill to the existing, the pre-existing kind of slope of the lawn. Once they get that slope to the right, well, to the right slope, they will just be seeding it, with grass seed, and that grass seed itself will be hopefully, once it starts to sprout, that will retain any of the soils there and kind of stabilize the slope. And that's what it was before.
Does the um is the structure of the house going to be affected by that? Because that's a huge slope that they're going to have to put in.
So they're just restoring the slope to what it was before. They brought in material from they were actually excavating a basement below the property, and that was put a stop to for structural and safety reasons. But they were taking some of that material in addition to material they brought in from off-site to kind of fill in and make a kind of a level side yard rather than the steeply sloping side yard that was there before. So what we will be doing when they go out there is they will just be removing the added material until they get down to the pre-existing slope. And once they get to that slope, they will just seed that area and kind of plant it back to grass, restoring it to the way that it was before they did any of the work.
Okay, thank you.
So Kyle, the silt sock will just be sitting on the side of the top of the hill, at the top of the 15-foot drop in.
So no. So there's actually a chain link fence at the property boundary, and so the wall that they constructed is maybe
Right.
10 inches on the house side of that chain link fence. So I'm envisioning they can install the compost filled silt sock and just kind of lay it down at the base of that wall between the wall and the chain link fence. And they'll be removing that backfill material and removing that wall down to where that silt, where the silt sock is installed.
And you think that will capture any of the?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think this is a great example of an agent that has gone above and beyond for citizens that.
I was just going to say that,
Beyond
Joyce.
understanding of this whole process of of the Wetlands Protection Act. It must be really difficult to come in and think that, oh, I own property and I can do what I'd like with my property because it's my property, and not have a lot of resources. And I think, Kyle, we have to really appreciate everything that you do.
Yeah, kudos to you,
Thank
Kyle,
you
for that.
Yeah, thanks. And I'm just happy that Helena, she's not the property owner, but she's kind of managing this whole thing. She's been great to work with, and she's similar to the situation you just described. They had no idea that they were breaking the Wetlands Protection Act, the protections they get for these waterways and things. But she's been very willing to work with the commission, and I think she's been happy to be able to kind of to work with us to get this hopefully resolved soon.
No, we do appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I ask a question? I know I can't vote on this, so Madam Chair, I mean, if you as the agent are comfortable with this, I mean, you're more experienced in this than us, do we pass this on to the homeowner and say, here you go, and just get it done? I mean, does that make sense?
I think it's not really a vote because it's really a recommendation, right? It's
Or an approval, maybe?
Yeah, you can vote on this, Justin. This is not like something this is something the commission has required of the property owner to submit. You can vote on this if you would like.
Oh, you would like us to vote on that? Okay, then so we could accept it as a
Yeah, I mean, so ideally, I would like the commission to approve this restoration plan so we can give it back to the homeowner and say, hey, this is what the commission has reviewed this. They like this plan. Please execute the plan, and then once it's done, then we can kind of close out this whole enforcement order.
Okay, good. Thank you for the question, Justin. Okay, then I entertain a motion then to approve the restoration plan.
I make a motion to approve the restoration plan for 411 Warren Avenue.
Motion seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Clay, I.
Curtis, I.
Green eye. Nap I.
Albert, aye.
And Voris, aye. Okay,
All right, great. Thank you.
good. Thank you. And the last one is an enforcement order for, oh, no. No, 0 Allen, I'm sorry. It's a
Yeah,
violation.
just
Allen.
this is just kind of an FYI. I didn't require anyone from 0 Allen and this notice of violation to be at the meeting tonight. But I went out to the site with members of the Brockton Inspectional Service Department, and there was a homeless encampment along with a bunch of trash and debris and things on this parcel. This parcel is kind of within the riverfront area, the 100-foot buffer to bank, so it is a jurisdictional area. So I partnered with the Inspectional Service Department. We both issued citations to the property owner requesting that they go in and clean out all the trash and the tents and all the debris on the site. I did not get a chance to drive by this week. I went by last week, and some of the trash had been removed, but there were still bags and things there. So I'll follow up with the Inspectional Service Department, see what they will be doing. It's much easier for them to levy fines through their mechanisms of enforcement than it is for us, since we don't have an ordinance or a bylaw in the city of Brockton. So ideally, I think we want to tackle this. The city wants to tackle this through the Inspectional Service Department, but we're also lining up the case in case we need to make the case through and enforce this matter through the Wetlands Protection Act. But I hope it doesn't.
Because it is within the jurisdictional area.
Yes, because it is in the jurisdictional area. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's no vote or anything that we need to worry about?
No, just kind of a heads up that we did issue this. We issued a similar notice of violation about a year ago. And unfortunately, it's just one of those places that as we've seen a couple times tonight, dumping happens. In this case, there was a homeless encampment there. It is a burden on the property owner to maintain these areas, especially these high traffic areas that kind of experience a lot of this kind of activity. So that's unfortunate, but that's also it is the responsibility of the property owner to kind of maintain them.
Thank you. Any questions or anything? Comments? No. And so the last one would be an enforcement order for 29 Country Club Lane?
Yes. I'm not sure if there's anyone here to speak to this tonight. I don't see anyone in the attendees that would be here to speak to this. So yeah, this is an enforcement order that I issued in late October. I got an anonymous tip that there was some work being done in a conservation area behind the property at 29 Country Club Lane. So I went out to the site, spoke to the people. They were actively doing work when I got there. They said they knew there was some conservation land back behind the property. I didn't have my boots or my shovels or anything with me at that time, so I spoke to them and they agreed to stop work on that day, and I would come back the following afternoon at a specified time to kind of confirm that there was a wetland back there and just kind of figure out what the next steps were. The following day, I did a little bit more digging and I found that this property had just been constructed. This home had been constructed in, I don't have the date in front of me, but it's a fairly newly constructed home within the last 5 years or so. They did receive an order of conditions from the commission approving the construction of the home, and like kind of a patio area behind the property. I'll pull up a map here in a moment, but so it did receive an order of conditions, and basically the entire area behind the patio was wetland. And I'll pull the plan up now because I think it's pretty important that you see that that plan. So one moment, please. Get that up and share it with you. Okay. So let me know when you can see the screen.
See the screen, it's just not a lot of detail. It's pretty small.
Yeah, we'll zoom in for you. So this is the site plan that was approved under the order of conditions when the home was constructed. So you'll see this is Country Club Lane here at the top of the screen. There's a driveway, and then here's the main structure of the home. I'm going to zoom scroll down a little bit. When they proposed this development, they had to delineate the wetland on site. And so that's what this line is here, this kind of bold line with these dots. This was the original wetland delineation along through here. So a majority of the southern portion of the parcel, or at least the bottom. I'm not sure which is the cardinal directions here, but on the bottom of the site here, you'll see that this kind of dark polygon here right next to the rectangle of the home is currently it's an approved patio that was constructed as part of and approved under the order of conditions. Now you notice that a portion of the home and the patio itself were constructed within the delineated wetland. So to allow that, the commission required that wetland replication be somewhere else on the site. So that's what these two dark polygons here to the left and to the right are. So these are areas of wetland restoration. So this is what was approved, and you know they were. This was all this work was done. They did the wetland restoration and everything, and so then you know that was the plan. And then when I went out to the site, they have this is the patio that has been approved, and they were back here with some small machinery, basically clearing the entire area out, removing trees, branches, a lot of stones, things like that. I don't have a picture on this enforcement order, but when I went back to the site the following day to deliver this and speak to the property owner, there were trees that had been removed as well, like large trees that had been cut down farther behind where I'm standing here that I don't have a photo of. And then this is another shot here. You can just see where they've kind of tore up the top 6 inches or so of this entire area through here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'll see if I can find those other photos that I took the following day if I have those here. Yeah, okay, so here's just one, but I'll share this too. So I took this the following day, and you can see they have, and this is freshly cut trees here back in the back. Some mulch that they've kind of mulched up some lumber, and this is another piece of machinery that they have out here. So they've gone, if we go back to that site plan, basically they don't have a backyard. Everything beyond that patio is wetland. And that was included in the order of conditions that, or in the special conditions that whole area was jurisdictional and protected. So unfortunately, they went ahead and did all this work. I did, in the enforcement order, require that they attend the meeting tonight to discuss all of this with the commission. Obviously, no one showed up. So I will reach back out to them and request that they attend the December meeting. The enforcement order required a restoration plan be submitted to the commission to basically restore that wetland area to the state that it was approved, basically with the order of conditions. So the wetland itself that was not disturbed during the construction of the home needs to be restored to its original conditions. Then also those wetland replication areas need to be restored to the way that they were when they were initially installed. So that's kind of the thought process here. This enforcement order does need to be ratified by the commission. So I sent that out without waiting until tonight's meeting. Do you have any questions for me about this? Do you want to see any other pictures or the map again of the order of conditions plan?
I have two questions. Was the homeowner appraised of this before? This is why I always think that it's so important that these developers inform the homeowners before they purchase the property that they are going to be, bordering wetlands or vegetated wetlands, that it should be in their deed, so that, the next owners and the next owners are all aware of that. And then my second question is, the next door neighbor has a fence all the way down to the part that that person cleared on 0 Allen Street. So is the neighbor in violation also?
I'm not sure when that neighbor's house was constructed. It certainly looks like I've got the plan on the enforcement order. Let me look at that again. The delineation does not go across that property line. If you look back at I don't know when that home was constructed, Peggy, and I guess that's the beginning of that. So I'm going to share this again here, that initial plan that we looked at. So this was the plan that was submitted or approved as part of the order of conditions. I did not dig into this at all. We can certainly look to see when this home was constructed. If it was constructed before the Wetlands Protection Act, then any fill work or anything that they've done there is just kind of grandfathered in. The delineation just kind of ends here at the property boundary. So that's one thing that I can look into that and get back with you. The second thing, the first point that you raised was about informing the property owner. So when you issue an order of conditions and you get that certificate of compliance, that should be bound to the deed for this property in perpetuity. Whether this specific individual knew about this or not, I can't really give you an answer to that. When they were going through the purchase of the property, like, their lawyer should have been able to find that, and that should have been part of that discussion. The person who developed this property, that was the applicant for the notice of intent for this, sold this property to the current property owner. The anonymous person that reported this said that they knew for a fact that the developer had informed these people, but that's hearsay. I cannot confirm nor deny that. When I spoke to them, they seemed to think that there was, or to be aware that there was conservation area somewhere back here, but where that exact boundary was, I don't know. The order of conditions did require signage be posted on the boundary of the wetland to demarcate that. So I don't know if this project was before I came through. I don't know if that was when they issued the certificate of compliance for this property, if those things had been installed at some point, if those were removed after the fact, or if they were never installed to begin with. I don't know what the state of this was when the people purchased the property.
Because I don't see any, in that photo that you showed me, I didn't see any posts with flags on it or anything
Yeah,
tore
there
up.
was nothing when I didn't see anything that denoted the area as a wetland or conservation land or anything like that when I was out there. But I mean, so it could not have been installed ever to begin with. It could have been removed by whomever, the property owner, before, even after the issuance of the certificate of compliance. They could have gone out there the next day. I mean, and removed those. We're not out there checking these things over time, so it's hard to say.
Maybe if the previous owner wanted to sell the property, he may have removed them.
Yeah.
In order to move that property, because it's small. It's a small area, and it's in a very popular area to live.
Yeah, and I understand, like, I mean, there's no room for a backyard here. Like, the whole area behind that patio is wetlands. So, and when I was out there, that's kind of what they were saying. Oh, we just want to clear a little bit of this area, plant a little bit of grass, put a little area for, like, a fire pit or a gazebo or whatever they want. And I understand that desire, but that's not something that's feasible on this lot. And so this is kind of the challenge with allowing construction like this to be approved, is that it's one thing for them to meet the standards when they're the engineers right here and they've got their plan. Okay, well, technically you can meet all these things, but as soon as the home's constructed and we're not actively looking at this, that's kind of out the window, and like anything can happen back there. And it's unfortunate that they did all this work before, before we caught it. But, for every one of these that we're aware of, there are probably 4 that never get reported, and we have no idea that, activity like this has happened. So
Yeah.
You need to put on your red cape, Kyle, and get out
That's
there and
right,
fly
yeah.
over everybody's properties.
Yeah. So we will need to ratify this tonight, and then I will reach back out, send a follow-up letter requesting that someone attend the December meeting. Let me. I'll kind of read through what I requested that they do as part of the enforcement order. So, hire someone to go out there and assess the damage. We have I included in the enforcement order a copy of that plan that was approved. And the second sheet of that plan that was approved under the order of conditions was the wetland replication sheet. So there is detail there as to what was planted, where it was planted, how many of them were planted. So they need to go out. They need to hire someone to go out and assess what's currently there, and see how that's need to develop a rest to put it back to basically how it was when the home was constructed and the wetland replication had been first installed. Nope.
You don't know when it was built?
I do. I don't have it in front of me here. Let me go to the top here.
If you just put it into the file, that would be great. If you have the original order of conditions and
yeah, I think it is in there. Let me see if I can find this.
Look at it later.
Yeah, I don't. The date's not popping out at me real quick. I don't want to waste all of our time here, but it is in the file, and we can check that out. So, in the order of conditions that was approved, one of the special conditions was, very, very apparent markers that may or may not have been kind of markers to delineate or to mark that wetland delineation moving forward. So, and that's really kind of it. So they just need to restore it back to the way that it was approved under the order of conditions.
Okay. So I entertain a motion then to ratify the enforcement order for 29 Country Club Lane.
I make a motion to ratify the enforcement order for 29 Country Club Lane.
Motion seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Clay, aye.
Curtis, aye.
Green eye.
Knapp, aye.
Would
And Boris, aye. Okay.
All right, thank you. And then I did just pull up the order of conditions. It was issued on June 26th of 2017, so like 7 years ago.
17, yeah.
Yeah.
So with that,
Just looked it up on Zillow. It was built in 2018, what it says on Zillow, and it was sold in 2019.
Yep, that sounds about
With
right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, thank you. I'll follow up with them, and hopefully they'll attend the December meeting.
Good, thank you. How long are they delineations good for anyway?
I mean, generally 3 years, but that said,
7, yeah.
I think the wetland replication should be the wetland replication area kind of in perpetuity, whether or not that was kind of a condition of the construction of the home, right? Yeah.
Okay, sounds wonderful. Entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion second.
Roll call vote.
Clay, aye.
Curtis, aye.
Green eye.
Aye.
and I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Boris, aye too. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks,
Good.
Justin.
Thank you all as well.
Thanksgiving.
Happy
Happy
Thanksgiving.
travels and everything. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. You guys are great.
Do.